Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. Former WWE head writer Vince Russo was elated that Raw ended early this week. He thanked Triple H, the head of creative, for the decision. This week's Raw was an important pit stop ahead of the Royal Rumble Premium live event. Major stars such as CM Punk, Drew McIntyre, and Seth Rollins announced themselves for the Royal Rumble. Lyra Valkyria became the inaugural Women's Intercontinental Champion, and Penta debuted in WWE. This week on Legion of Raw, Vince Russo hilariously thanked Triple H for ending the show early. The veteran writer mentioned he was ecstatic to see the show go off the air 30 minutes ahead of schedule. He felt that the shorter length of the flagship show would now be the norm on Netflix. "Bro, I look up, and Raw is over. You had to see my natural reaction. You would have sworn it was Christmas morning, and I was a 5-year-old child. I was so giddy and ecstatic that the show ended 30 minutes early. Tremendous." He continued, "Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Triple H." From 2 o'clock onwards, with the Royal Rumble just a few weeks away, it will be interesting to see which other stars announce themselves for the major match in the next few days. As the sounds of an excited crowd filled the arena, WWE veteran Drew McIntyre stood at the top of the ramp, microphone in hand. He was about to speak on something far more important than just a match or an angle. This was a moment of gratitude, not just for his own career, but for the entire WWE universe. He had just learned of a pivotal decision made by Triple H, one that would change the landscape of WWE programming, particularly Raw. It was a decision that reflected Triple H's vision for the future, one where the talent could finally catch their breath and thrive, and Drew McIntyre couldn't be more thrilled. "Thank you, Trips," McIntyre said, his voice echoing through the arena. "You've done it again. You've made the impossible possible, and we all owe you for it." It wasn't an exaggeration. The decision Triple H had made was monumental. He had announced that Raw, traditionally a grueling and punishing schedule for WWE superstars, would undergo a transformation. Instead of the weekly marathon of matches, promos, and travel, Raw was now going to be a more focused, streamlined product. The schedule would see fewer but more intense live events, giving superstars much-needed time to rest and recharge. This change wasn't just for the benefit of the talent. It was for the benefit of the product, the fans, and the entire brand. For years, the WWE roster had been stretched thin, with superstars competing week in and week out on the flagship show. The result? Injuries, burnout, and a noticeable decline in energy during some episodes. The Raw energy that once electrified fans seemed to be waning, and it had become apparent that something had to give. Triple H, as the creative mind behind much of the current shift in WWE, had taken notice and acted swiftly. It wasn't just Drew McIntyre who felt the weight lift off his shoulders. Across the roster, there were sighs of relief as the implications of Triple H's decision began to sink in. For some, like Seth Rollins and Bianca Belair, the new schedule meant more time with their families. For others, like Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, it meant an opportunity to catch their breath and nurse injuries that had been slowly adding up over time. A backstage interview with Sami Zayn perfectly encapsulated the feeling. "You don't understand how much this means," he said, his voice full of sincerity. "We've been going nonstop for years, and while we love what we do, the toll it takes is real. Now, with this new schedule, I feel like I can give more to the fans, more energy, more passion, more everything." But the ripple effect of Triple H's decision wasn't just about physical recovery. It was about mental clarity. For years, WWE superstars had been in the pressure cooker, with no room to think beyond the next match or storyline. With a reduced schedule, talents could now have time to recharge their creative batteries. And that was something that spoke to the heart of Triple H's philosophy. Wrestling isn't just about what you do in the ring, but about the stories you tell, the moments you create. If superstars were running on fumes, those moments would be fewer and farther between. A somber yet hopeful Kevin Owens echoed similar sentiments. Look, we've all been in the grind. We know it's part of the business. But when you're constantly running at full speed, sometimes you miss the little details. Those subtle moments that make this company what it is. This new schedule is going to help us all step back, look at the bigger picture, and get back to telling those incredible stories. Even the youngest stars in WWE, those who had only just begun their journey, were finding themselves reflecting on what this change would mean for their careers. Austin Theory, ever the future of WWE, was quick to share his thoughts. I came into this company knowing how hard it would be. But I also knew the responsibility that came with being in the WWE ring. To see that we're being given the opportunity to not just perform, but to grow, to develop, to evolve, that means everything. I can't wait to see what's next. The energy around Raw had shifted in a positive direction. Gone were the days of rushed storytelling, strained matches, and overworked talents. What fans didn't realize was that the veterans on the roster, like Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, and even the likes of Edge, had been campaigning for something like this for years. They had pushed for a schedule that made sense, that allowed for stories to breathe, for characters to evolve, and for the in-ring product to truly shine. And then there was the added element that Triple H had introduced. With the change in Raw's schedule, more emphasis would be placed on major live events and pay-per-views. The result? A larger build-up to each event, making every match, every storyline, and every title defense feel like it truly mattered. The sense of anticipation would return to the fans, something that had sometimes been missing from the relentless weekly grind. "This is what we needed," said a beaming Becky Lynch in a post-match interview. "For a long time, it felt like we were running a marathon without a finish line. Now, we can take a breath, and when we step into that ring, we can give it everything we've got, because we know we have the time to rest, the time to heal, and the time to think about what comes next." The fans, of course, were also buzzing with excitement. Raw's new schedule would likely mean better, more focused performances from their favorite superstars. More importantly, it meant that the magic of WWE programming could return to its roots, moments that felt authentic, exciting, and unforced. Fans had been clamoring for that elusive spark that made WWE shows feel special, and Triple H was delivering on that promise. As the night went on, Drew McIntyre found himself surrounded by fellow veterans, each one offering their thanks to Triple H in their own way. For Drew, though, it was more than just gratitude, it was a turning point in his career. He had seen the highs and lows of WWE, and for the first time in years, he felt a renewed sense of purpose. The future was brighter than ever. "Thank you, Trips," Drew said one last time, raising his hand to the sky. "You've not only given us a chance to be better, but you've given this company a chance to thrive like it never has before. And for that, we'll always be grateful." And with that, the WWE Universe roared in approval, knowing that this change, this pivotal decision by Triple H, would be the beginning of a new era for Raw, for WWE, and for every superstar on the roster. The future had never looked more promising. Triple H to bring back former WWE champion after nearly 4 years following his AEW exit. Potential return explored following Penta's debut. WWE Chief Content Officer Paul Triple H Levesque made an excellent addition to the Raw roster by signing top Lucador and former AEW star Penta. The game could be eyeing another top AEW star who was reportedly finishing up with Tony Khan's company. Malachi Black was perceived as a rising star by Triple H during the Dutch Destroyer's WWE tenure under the ring name Aleister Black. The 39-year-old is a former NXT champion. However, Black was poorly booked on the main roster under Vince McMahon's leadership and was eventually released in June 2021. He subsequently joined Tony Khan's AEW. Fans were hopeful that they would see him ascend as a top star in the Jacksonville-based promotion. But Malachi Black only managed to emerge as a mid-card attraction. Moreover, a recent report stated that Black is finishing up with AEW and is allegedly set to leave the company. He last appeared at Full Gear 2024. The anti-hero becoming a free agent could lead to Triple H bringing one of his guys back to the Stamford-based company. Furthermore, the cerebral assassin signing Penta hints at the fact that he is keen to make talented in-ring competitors from rival promotions a part of the Raw or SmackDown rosters. As for Malachi Black, signing with WWE will be a logical option if he is offered a contract. This would allow him to have a better tenure under a new regime apart from helping him reunite with his wife and Raw superstar Zelina Vega on television. However, the angle is speculative at this point. Penta had a memorable WWE debut last night on Raw, while Malachi Black's return to the Stamford-based promotion is still anyone's guess. The Dutch star's former AEW colleague Penta announced his arrival last night with a spectacular debut. He made his first appearance on the January 13th edition of Monday Night Raw on Netflix as Chad Gable's opponent. The talented luchador displayed his excellent in-ring acumen and high-flying moves that captivated fans in attendance. In the end, Ciro Mito delivered a combination of the sacrifice and Pentagon driver to score a pinfall victory over Gable. With Penta officially becoming a part of WWE's roster, it will be interesting to see if Triple H brings Malachi Black to the sports entertainment juggernaut following the 39-year-old's rumored AEW departure. In a shocking turn of events that could reshape the landscape of WWE, Triple H, the man responsible for overseeing WWE's talent development and creative direction, has been rumored to be eyeing the return of a former WWE champion after nearly 4 years away from the company. This revelation comes on the heels of a major AEW departure, none other than the masked sensation, Penta El Zero Mito, making a stunning debut in WWE, setting the stage for some unexpected confrontations. A vision of change as of late, Triple H has been reshaping WWE with fresh energy and bold moves. The brand has seen the arrival of new talent, the reshuffling of storylines, and an influx of global wrestling stars. But amid all the excitement, rumors have begun swirling that Triple H has been considering the return of a former WWE champion, a name that fans thought was forever associated with AEW, Jon Moxley. Moxley, who left WWE in 2019 amidst personal frustrations and creative differences, had quickly ascended to become one of AEW's foundational pillars. As the face of AEW, Moxley captured the AEW World Championship multiple times, delivering some of the most intense and high-profile matches in the promotion's history. His unfiltered, gritty persona was a far cry from the polished and scripted nature of WWE's programming. Yet, over time, his AEW journey has faced its own challenges. Rumors first surfaced when Moxley made some cryptic comments during AEW interviews, hinting at potential future endeavors that stretched beyond AEW. The timing couldn't be more perfect. As Penta's highly anticipated debut on WWE programming grabbed fans' attention, many began speculating about what might come next. The Penta Effect. Penta El Zero Mito, once a key figure in AEW's tag team division, was known for his incredibly high-flying style, mask, and the unmistakable mystique he brought to the ring. The Death Triangle star and his brother Phoenix, alongside Pac, made waves with their exhilarating and often unpredictable performances, capturing the hearts of fans worldwide. However, rumors of Penta's dissatisfaction with his role in AEW had been quietly circulating for months before he made his shocking entrance on WWE SmackDown. Penta's appearance, alongside the eruption of the crowd's excitement, sent shockwaves through the WWE universe. The pop was one of the loudest in recent memory, signaling that fans had been waiting for a moment like this. But Penta's sudden appearance, with his unique wrestling style and long-established fan following, immediately brought up questions of his role in WWE's grander plans. Was this simply an isolated appearance, or was WWE planning something bigger? As Penta debuted with an incredible match against a top WWE superstar, it became clear that Triple H had bigger ideas for him. The depth of talent Penta brought to WWE's already stacked roster would allow for thrilling matchups, whether it was in the tag team division, as a solo competitor, or in a potential faction with other high-flying wrestlers. The impact Penta could have on WWE storylines became apparent, and it was a moment of clarity for Triple H. He had seen the immense potential for Penta, but could it be the spark that brought back Moxley as well? Moxley's return, the possibility explored with Triple H's reputation for reinvigorating the careers of wrestlers. It's no surprise that he'd be looking for opportunities to bring back a high-profile name like Moxley. Moxley's AEW departure left an undeniable void in the wrestling world. His rebellious, hard-hitting style, his intense charisma, and his overall versatility in the ring made him one of the most electrifying figures in modern wrestling. For Triple H, bringing Moxley back into the fold wouldn't just be a signing for business, it would be an investment in one of the industry's most influential performers. After nearly 4 years since Moxley's WWE exit, the time could be ripe for a return. WWE has evolved, and under Triple H's leadership, there has been a noticeable shift in its approach. NXT's success as a developmental brand, the influx of new talent, and the creative freedom given to many of the company's stars has paved the way for different styles and personas to flourish. If there was ever a time for a former WWE champion like Moxley to return to the company, it would be now. But the question remains, what would bring Moxley back? Would it be the allure of facing top-tier talent that he couldn't in AEW? Or would it be the challenge of revitalizing his WWE career under a new creative regime? Triple H's tact in addressing Moxley's potential return would have to be incredibly nuanced. Moxley's decision to leave WWE in 2019 was rooted in frustration with the creative process, and Triple H would need to prove that this version of WWE was a much more collaborative and open-minded environment. The possibility of a feud between Moxley and Penta in WWE only adds intrigue to the equation. Both men have history, both are beloved for their authenticity, and both have what it takes to headline a major WWE pay-per-view event. Their rivalry, born out of their AEW days, could easily find its way into WWE's spotlight, creating an intense storyline that could drive fans wild. Imagine the dynamic, a clash between two men who have had very different paths in wrestling, but share the commonality of passion and commitment to their craft. A new chapter for WWE? If Moxley were to return, there's also the exciting potential for him to align with Triple H in an entirely new faction. WWE has seen the rise of stable factions over the past few years, with groups like the Judgment Day, Imperium, and the Bloodline leading the charge. Moxley's rebellious nature could make him the perfect foil or even an unexpected ally to someone like Roman Reigns, whose dominance on SmackDown has redefined the top of the card. Alternatively, Moxley's alliance with Penta could form the base of a new, alternative group, one that represents the underground, gritty side of WWE in contrast to its more polished champions. The thought of Moxley and Penta uniting against a larger corporate machine like the Judgment Day, or even going after Reigns' Universal Championship, would undoubtedly be a compelling storyline. The natural tension between these two men and their shared history in AEW could fuel a rivalry that goes well beyond the ropes. The future of WWE, bold moves, and uncertain paths, whether Moxley returns to WWE or not. The fact that Triple H is exploring such a possibility speaks volumes about his commitment to reinvigorating the company. WWE has been known for its larger-than-life personas and cinematic storytelling, but under Triple H's direction, the focus seems to be shifting back to pure wrestling and the personal connections between performers and fans. With Penta's debut shaking up the status quo, the door has been opened for even more surprises. The prospect of Moxley returning to the WWE fold is just one of many thrilling directions WWE could take. Fans will be waiting with bated breath to see how the wrestling titan continues to evolve, and if the rumors surrounding Moxley's potential return will materialize in the near future.
Top WWE star left heartbroken after loss on Raw. Immediately receives a message from Triple H. Triple H has sent a heartfelt message to a popular WWE star after she suffered a major loss on the latest edition of Raw. The game lauded Dakota Kai for her efforts to capture the newly minted Women's Intercontinental Championship. Kai, and Lyra Valkyria faced off in the finals of the tournament to crown the first-ever women's Intercontinental Champion. Several fans were rooting for Dakota Kai to finally win a singles title, as she had been part of the Stamford-based promotion for nearly a decade. However, this wasn't meant to be, as Valkyria emerged victorious on Raw and was crowned the first women's IC champ. WWE uploaded a clip of Kai backstage following the loss, where she was visibly emotional and stated that she would continue to chase the gold. Triple H was quick to respond to Dakota Kai's heartbreaking interview, praising the 36-year-old star for her valiant performance even though she failed to come out on top. Triple H shared an emotional moment with Lyra Valkyria after she won on WWE Raw. Following Lyra Valkyria's first title win on the main roster, the Game congratulated her backstage with his customary post. He also sent a message to Valkyria, writing that it was only the beginning of greater things to come. Check it out below. Congratulations to your first-ever women's Intercontinental Champion at @Real_Valkyria. The beginning of a brand new legacy in a brand new era, tweeted Triple H. It's safe to assume that Lyra Valkyria's win on Raw has solidified her position as a future main eventer. While it would be great to see the 28-year-old star battle it out with newer challengers on the Monday night show, fans would love to see Dakota Kai get another chance at the women's IC title after her emotional loss. The crowd in the WWE arena buzzed with excitement as the opening notes of The Rising Sun echoed through the speakers. Shinsuke Nakamura, the king of strong style, walked out with an air of determination, his eyes focused on the ring. The fans cheered wildly, his signature swagger filling the room. Nakamura had made a name for himself in WWE with his incredible athleticism, charisma, and mastery of the art of psychological warfare. Tonight, however, the stakes were higher than ever. A win on Raw would solidify his place as one of the top contenders for the Universal Championship, a title that had eluded him for far too long. His opponent, Seth Rollins, stood in the opposite corner, wearing a look of quiet confidence. The architect of WWE was no stranger to high-pressure situations. Having weathered countless storms and emerged victorious from numerous battles, he had earned the reputation of a resilient, fearless leader in the locker room. A loss to Nakamura tonight would not only set him back in the title race, but could also raise questions about his ability to carry the mantle of WWE's top stars. The bell rang, and the two men immediately clashed in the center of the ring. Nakamura's precise strikes met Rollins' acrobatic counters in a seamless dance of athleticism. The match was a back-and-forth affair, with both competitors pulling out every move in their arsenal. Nakamura's strikes were sharp and deliberate, his kicks making an audible sound as they collided with Rollins' ribs. Rollins responded with lightning-fast aerial assaults, each one seeming to defy gravity. But as the match reached its climax, the tides began to turn in Rollins' favor. Nakamura, known for his resilience, fought hard to stay in the match, but a decisive curb stomp from Rollins changed the course of the battle. The arena fell into stunned silence as Nakamura crashed to the mat, unable to kick out. The referee's hand hit the mat for the 3 count, and Rollins stood tall in victory, his arm raised in triumph. For Nakamura, the loss was more than just a defeat. It was a blow to his psyche. He had come so close to finally earning a shot at the Universal Championship, only to fall short at the hands of a man who, at this moment, seemed unstoppable. As Rollins celebrated, Nakamura slowly rose to his feet, the disappointment etched all over his face. He had poured everything into this match, but it hadn't been enough. The realization hit him like a freight train. His dream of becoming the Universal Champion was once again slipping out of his grasp. He limped backstage, the weight of the loss hanging heavy on his shoulders. The lights of the arena faded behind him, but the sting of defeat remained. Nakamura had always prided himself on his ability to rise above adversity, but tonight, he was unsure of how to bounce back. As he entered the locker room, he was met with the sympathetic glances of his fellow superstars. They knew how much the loss meant to him, how much he had invested in this moment. There were no words of comfort that could truly ease the pain, but they all knew that Nakamura would find a way to fight through it. He slumped down on a bench in the locker room, his head in his hands. He needed a moment to process everything, to come to terms with the fact that his dreams of championship gold seemed farther away than ever before. But just as the silence enveloped him, his phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a message. Nakamura hesitated for a moment, wondering who could be reaching out to him after such a crushing loss. He unlocked his phone, and the screen lit up with a message from Triple H. The text was simple, but its significance was not lost on Nakamura. "Meet me in my office. I think we need to talk." Triple H. Nakamura's heart skipped a beat. Triple H was a man who had seen it all in WWE. The triumphs, the losses, the moments of greatness, and the depths of failure. If he was reaching out to Nakamura, it meant something important. Nakamura took a deep breath, wiping the sweat and frustration from his brow. He wasn't sure what the conversation would entail, but he knew one thing for sure. It was a chance to prove to himself that he still had a future in WWE. He made his way through the backstage area, his footsteps echoing in the empty halls. The weight of his defeat still lingered, but he pushed it aside as best as he could. He reached Triple H's office, knocking lightly on the door before entering. The Game was sitting behind his desk, his expression unreadable as he motioned for Nakamura to sit. "Take a seat, Shinsuke," Triple H said, his voice calm but authoritative. "I've been watching your matches for a while now, and I know what that loss tonight means to you." Nakamura sat down, unsure of what to say. He had always admired Triple H for his leadership and wisdom, but now he felt vulnerable. He was used to being the one with all the answers, the one who commanded respect in the ring. But tonight, all of that felt like it had crumbled away. "You've been at the top of your game for a long time," Triple H continued, leaning forward slightly. "But sometimes we all face setbacks. I've been there. Hell, I've been knocked down more times than I can count. But the key is getting back up. And you've got the talent, the heart, and the willpower to rise again." Nakamura nodded, but doubt still lingered in his eyes. Triple H could see it. "Listen, I've got something for you," Triple H said, pulling a piece of paper from his desk drawer. "I want you to take a few weeks off, Shinsuke. Clear your head. Refocus. We'll figure out your next move. But I want you to be the best version of yourself when you come back." Nakamura looked up in surprise. A break. It was the last thing he had expected. But in that moment, something inside him clicked. Triple H wasn't giving up on him. He was giving him the space to heal, to refocus, and to come back stronger than ever. It wasn't just a message of support. It was a call to action. "I'm not done," Nakamura said, his voice steady. "I'll come back stronger. I promise you that." Triple H smiled, a rare but genuine expression. "I know you will. You've got what it takes. Now go rest. We'll talk more when you're ready." As Nakamura left the office, he felt a sense of relief wash over him. The road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he knew one thing for certain. With Triple H in his corner, he was far from finished. Triple H reacts as huge new WWE champion is crowned suddenly on Raw. Triple H has reacted after a new WWE champion was crowned on Raw, making history. He posted about it on social media. While the match had been a long time coming among two of the most promising names in the division, the ending was very sudden. Kai had hit the GTK earlier, but Valkyria had rolled out of the ring, preventing her from getting the win. The victory came when Valkyria suddenly hit her finisher, ending the match and making history by becoming the first ever women's Intercontinental Champion in WWE. Triple H took to social media to send Valkyria a message. He posted a picture of the two of them together and congratulated her on making history by becoming the first ever woman to hold that title. She said it was time for a new legacy, a new era. With the star as the new champion now, it remains to be seen who Triple H books as her first challenger. No matter who it is, Dakota Kai will be heartbroken at having come so close. She still showed sporting spirit by hugging Valkyria and congratulating her after the match. The roar of the crowd echoed through the arena as the WWE Universe's excitement reached a fever pitch. It had been a shocking night on WWE Raw, one full of unexpected twists, and now it was time for the most electrifying moment of them all. A new WWE champion was being crowned, and no one could have predicted how quickly the winds of change had swept through the company. Backstage, Triple H stood near the entrance ramp, his usual stoic demeanor masking the whirlwind of thoughts racing through his mind. As WWE's chief content officer, he had been at the helm of every major decision, every shakeup, every rise and fall of superstars in the company. But tonight, even he had not seen this one coming. The night had already seen its fair share of chaos. The stage had been set for a traditional title match, a contest that was expected to end with a reigning champion successfully retaining their belt. But as the match had played out, everything had spiraled in a direction no one could have predicted. A challenger had emerged, someone who had been knocking on the door for months, waiting for the right opportunity. And when the final bell rang, the WWE Universe erupted in shock as a new champion was crowned in an unprecedented twist of fate. It was as if the world had suddenly shifted. The arena was filled with disbelief, cheers, and stunned gasps as the new champion stood tall in the ring, holding the coveted WWE Championship high above their head. The former champion, left lying on the canvas, could barely process the moment they had just lost everything. Triple H, having watched it all unfold from the back, finally let out a long breath, his hands clasped behind his back. He had been in this position before, many times. In fact, he knew the business, knew how volatile it could be. Yet this was different. This wasn't just another title change. This was a shift in the very fabric of WWE. And whether it was planned or not, it was going to have repercussions far beyond just one night. As the crowd's cheers and chants rang out, Triple H knew it was time. The decision would fall to him. It always did. He walked briskly toward the stage, past several superstars still processing what they had just witnessed, their faces reflecting the same mix of shock and excitement. Triple H's mind raced. He had been the architect of many monumental moments in WWE, but nothing quite like this. The new champion had no prior history with the belt, no traditional build-up or massive angle. But the fans had bought in, and that was something undeniable. That was the currency in WWE. As Triple H approached the ring, he couldn't help but think back to the days when he had first made his mark. He had climbed that same ladder, fought for that same title. The championship was the most coveted prize in all of sports entertainment, a symbol of power, legacy, and prestige. It wasn't just about the gold. It was about what it represented, the culmination of years of hard work, the passion, the sacrifice. And now, a new face had emerged to claim that very title. When Triple H stepped into the ring, the crowd immediately quieted, sensing that something monumental was about to happen. The new champion stood in the center, still basking in the adulation of the WWE Universe. Their eyes met, and for a brief moment, there was an understanding. This wasn't just a title change. This was history being made. Triple H extended a hand, and the new champion took it, their grip firm and steady. "Congratulations," Triple H said, his voice calm, but there was a quiet intensity behind his words. "You've just done something most only dream about. But remember, this is only the beginning." The champion nodded, their eyes still wide with disbelief. They had worked for years to get to this point, but nothing had quite prepared them for the emotional weight of it all. Triple H turned to address the crowd, who were on their feet, chanting the new champion's name. "Tonight, the landscape of WWE has changed," he declared. "The championship is now in the hands of someone new, and that means we're entering a new era, one filled with possibilities, opportunities, and challenges." The crowd erupted into cheers, but Triple H's tone grew more serious. "But don't think this is a free pass. Being WWE champion means facing the toughest challenges. It means being at the top of the mountain, and with that comes the constant target on your back. You're going to have to fight every single night to prove you belong." The new champion nodded, their face a mix of determination and resolve. Triple H was right. This was just the beginning. There would be no easy road ahead. "Do you think you're ready for that?" Triple H asked, looking the champion in the eye. "I am," the new champion replied, their voice steady despite the weight of the moment. "I didn't get here by accident. I'm ready for whatever comes next." Triple H nodded slowly, a look of approval crossing his face. He extended his hand again, and this time, the new champion took it without hesitation. "Then I look forward to seeing you prove it," he said. With that, Triple H turned to the crowd once more, acknowledging their excitement. The new champion had just taken their first step into a much bigger world, and everyone knew that the road to being a great WWE champion was a long and grueling one. There would be no shortage of challengers, legends, former champions, hungry up-and-comers, and each one would bring their own fire, their own desire to take the title. But tonight the story had been written, and the WWE Universe had witnessed the birth of a new era. As Triple H left the ring, he couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something huge. The new champion had stepped up to the plate, but only time would tell if they could truly carry the weight of that title. The company, the fans, and the entire world of WWE were watching, and the real test had just begun. The cameras faded to black, but the anticipation in the air lingered. The future of WWE had just been written, and Triple H had played a pivotal role in the creation of a new legacy. What came next, no one could predict. But one thing was for sure, this was only the beginning. Triple H shares behind-the-scenes footage of life-changing moment ahead of WWE Raw. Triple H shared a behind-the-scenes look at a major moment ahead of tonight's edition of WWE Raw. The Red brand debuted on Netflix last Monday night at the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, California. The game kicked off last week's episode of WWE Raw with an elaborate entrance. He took to Instagram ahead of tonight's episode to share a backstage look at the production of his entrance last week and noted that it was a life-changing walk for him. You can check out the King of Kings message in the Instagram post below. Tonight's episode of Raw will feature an appearance from CM Punk. Dakota Kai will be facing Lyra Valkyria in the final of the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament to crown the inaugural winner. The Judgment Day's Finn Balor will be facing Damian Priest in a street fight, and Chad Gable will be in action against a mystery opponent. Former WWE writer criticizes Triple H for self-glorification. Wrestling veteran Vince Russo recently took Triple H to task for having himself be the one to open last week's episode of Raw. Speaking on Sportskeeda Wrestling's Legion of Raw, Russo claimed that nobody was into self-glorification more than Triple H. The former head writer of WWE suggested that the 55-year-old was rubbing it in Vince McMahon's face following the latter's exit from the company last year. I can't help Chris, but to watch shows like this and to watch Triple H and all this and listen, man, I'm talking about completely different. I'm not talking about whether Vince McMahon is guilty or not guilty. We will know that, but we don't know it now. But I just can't help but watch this and think of that, you know. An 80-year-old guy watching at home, Russo said. 41:38. 42:10. Rhea Ripley captured the Women's World Championship from Liv Morgan last Monday and is scheduled to appear on tonight's episode of Raw as well. It will be fascinating to see if the company has any surprises in store for fans during this week's edition of the Red brand. As the buzz surrounding WWE Raw reached a fever pitch, fans on social media were hit with a shocking surprise. Triple H, the man known for crafting some of the most unforgettable moments in wrestling history, posted a cryptic video with the caption, "A life-changing moment for one, a game-changer for all. Stay tuned." The footage was raw, unfiltered, and incredibly emotional, offering a glimpse into what could be the most pivotal moment in recent WWE history. The video began with a black screen, followed by the faint hum of a camera turning on. Slowly, the camera focused on a secluded corner of the WWE Performance Center, the heart of where WWE stars are molded. The walls, lined with championship banners and memorabilia, were juxtaposed by the raw emotion on display. Triple H stood in the center, flanked by several key WWE officials, including some superstars whose identities remained blurred by the video's poor resolution. The energy in the room was palpable, as though something significant was about to unfold. "I've been doing this for a long time." Triple H's voice was heard, almost reverberating with sincerity. "But sometimes you find yourself in the presence of something so big, it changed." Fans were immediately intrigued, diving into the video's content for any clue as to what Triple H could be referring to. The speculation began to run wild. Could this be a teaser for an iconic debut? A legendary return? Or perhaps an emotional moment of triumph for a superstar overcoming personal adversity? As the camera continued to roll, a wrestler stepped forward. The camera shook slightly as Triple H's hand reached out to clasp the individual's shoulder, a gesture of support and encouragement. The wrestler, clearly overcome with emotion, turned to face the camera, their eyes glistening with tears. A silence hung in the air before the individual spoke. This is everything I've ever wanted," they said, their voice cracking with emotion. "I've spent my entire life chasing this dream, and now I get to stand here with all of you, knowing that everything I've worked for, every ounce of sweat and blood, has led me to this moment." The wrestler's identity remained hidden, but their words carried weight. It was clear that this was no ordinary WWE superstar. This was a moment that transcended the scripted world of professional wrestling. It was deeply personal, a reflection of what WWE stands for, dreams becoming reality. At that moment, Triple H stepped back, allowing the individual to take center stage. He began speaking again, his tone unwavering but filled with emotion. "You've worked harder than anyone else in this room," Triple H said. "You've earned this moment. But now, it's time for you to take that step. The decision is yours. You can either step into the light and embrace the challenge, or you can walk away. It's a choice only you can make." The video's pace quickened as the camera panned to several other superstars, their faces serious, some nodding in approval, others watching with anticipation. The behind-the-scenes moment felt more like a crossroads for this individual, one that would determine their place in WWE's storied legacy. The tension in the video reached its peak as the wrestler stood motionless for several long seconds. Finally, they nodded slowly, determination filling their eyes. The decision had been made. "I'm in," the wrestler finally said, their voice steady and resolute. "Let's change the game." Triple H extended his hand to the wrestler, who shook it firmly. The weight of the moment was impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a scripted decision. This was a real-life choice, one that would reverberate across WWE's history. The room erupted in applause, a moment of camaraderie and celebration among the stars, who knew they had witnessed something truly special. As the footage drew to a close, Triple H turned to the camera, his face etched with pride and determination. "We're on the brink of something incredible," he said. "This moment will be remembered for years to come. But remember, it's not just about this one individual. It's about the future of WWE, and what we're all capable of when we come together to make history." The screen cut to black, with one final message: "The future is now." WWE Raw. Don't miss it. The fallout from the video was immediate. Social media exploded with fans speculating about the identity of the wrestler, and whether Triple H was hinting at a major storyline or even a possible title change. Rumors flew. Some believed it was a former NXT star finally getting their chance on the main roster, while others wondered if Triple H was teasing the return of a beloved WWE legend. In the days leading up to WWE Raw, the excitement reached a fever pitch. Wrestlers began to weigh in on the significance of the video. Some, like John Cena, posted cryptic messages of their own, calling the moment a game changer. Roman Reigns, ever the mysterious champion, tweeted, "The game is always changing. Just ask anyone who's ever fought me." Even legends like The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin weighed in, congratulating the unnamed wrestler for their courage and determination, fueling further speculation about who it could be. The WWE Universe waited with bated breath, eager for the reveal. But in true Triple H fashion, the wait was worth it. When the show finally aired, the identity of the wrestler was unveiled in the most dramatic fashion possible. As the opening moments of WWE Raw kicked off, the lights dimmed, and the familiar music of Triple H blared throughout the arena. The crowd went wild as the King of Kings made his entrance. But this time, there was something different about his presence. He stood in the ring with a sense of authority, holding a microphone in his hand, a look of satisfaction on his face. "I told you that this moment would change everything," Triple H said, his voice filled with anticipation. "And tonight, it's time to meet the person who is going to change the landscape of WWE forever." He paused, allowing the audience to hang on every word. The arena fell silent as the lights flickered. Then, a familiar theme song blared from the speakers. The crowd went wild as a new face emerged, stepping into the ring, the long-awaited debut of Carmelo Hayes. The NXT champion had arrived on WWE Raw, and the crowd's reaction was thunderous. Triple H's decision had been revealed, and the life-changing moment was now set to define the future of WWE. Carmelo Hayes wasn't just here to wrestle. He was here to dominate, to take the company to new heights. And so, a new chapter began in WWE's storied history, a chapter that would undoubtedly be remembered for years to come as the moment when one individual's dream turned into a legacy that would change everything. The future of WWE was now in the hands of the next generation, and they were ready to make their mark. Triple H to bring back WWE Hall of Famer at the Royal Rumble to set up his final feud. Potential angle explored. Under the creative regime of Triple H, WWE is heading toward the Royal Rumble 2025 Premium Live event, set to take place live on February 1st, 2025, at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Indiana. Every year, the traditional 30-person match features returns and unexpected twists, making the event even more significant. Amid this, there is a prospect that Triple H might bring WWE Hall of Famer Goldberg to Royal Rumble 2025. This could be done to set up his final feud in the Stanford-based promotion. The last time Goldberg appeared in WWE was at Bad Blood 2024, where he was involved in a heated segment with Gunther, while Triple H was also part of the segment. Additionally, the iconic star has already confirmed that he will return to the Squared Circle for his retirement match in 2025. To set up this final match, Triple H may plan to bring the Hall of Famer to the traditional 30-man Royal Rumble match to initiate his final feud against Gunther. When Goldberg is in the ring, Gunther might interfere and eliminate the veteran, intensifying the heat between them. Later, Goldberg may return post-WrestleMania 41 and eventually challenge Gunther to a match at a Saudi Arabia Premium Live event. For those who might not know, recent reports have confirmed that the Stanford-based promotion will be heading to a Saudi Arabia PLE in June 2025. Saudi Arabia shows usually feature legendary names, and Goldberg has already wrestled there 4 times. As a result, the iconic star might compete in a retirement match in the Middle East. It remains to be seen how things will unfold in the forthcoming PLE, and whether the 58-year-old star will show up in the traditional Royal Rumble match. Does Triple H already have plans for Goldberg's WWE return? According to recent reports, it seems that Triple H is already planning for Goldberg's return. The iconic star is expected to make his appearance by the end of January 2025. Reports suggest that the January 27th edition of WWE Raw, taking place in Atlanta, Georgia, will be the location for his return. Atlanta is where the Hall of Famer began his career in professional wrestling. Making his return just before the Royal Rumble PLE could be another sign that Goldberg will declare his entry into the traditional men's Royal Rumble match in 2025. The Royal Rumble had always been a spectacle like no other in WWE. A night of surprise returns, shocking eliminations, and intense rivalries that would set the stage for WrestleMania. But this year, fans were about to witness something unprecedented. With WWE Universe bracing for the usual surprises, the buzz was palpable. The stage was set for Triple H to make an announcement that would change the course of WWE history. The arena was buzzing with anticipation as the Royal Rumble match neared its climax. The final 10 competitors were scrambling in the ring, each desperate to secure their spot at the grandest stage of them all. But before the chaos could culminate, the lights in the arena flickered and the unmistakable sound of a guitar riff echoed through the speakers. The crowd went silent, the tension thick in the air.
The screen flashed an iconic logo, and the name Triple H appeared in bold, menacing letters. The crowd erupted into cheers. But this was different. This wasn't the usual entrance for the game. This was something bigger, something that promised to reshape everything we knew about WWE. Backstage, Triple H stood in front of a camera, his signature smirk playing across his face. The air around him was charged, the weight of his decision evident. For years, I've been the one to set the standard in this business. I've fought alongside the best, and I've fought against the best, Triple H said. But there's one thing I've never done, there's one thing that's been gnawing at me for a long time. The camera zoomed in on his face as the words left his lips with a sense of finality. I'm going to bring back a legend at the Royal Rumble. Someone who has not only shaped WWE history, but who is also the key to my final feud. At the Rumble, I'll face this Hall of Famer one last time to settle a score that's been decades in the making. The fans were in shock. Triple H had been known for his calculated moves and masterful storytelling, but this was a revelation. Who could it be? The possibilities were endless, but one name seemed to reverberate through every fan's mind. The Royal Rumble continued to unfold, but the true moment of suspense came just as the final few competitors were battling it out for the chance to headline WrestleMania. The arena darkened once again, and the unmistakable sound of a crow's caw echoed through the speakers, followed by the sharp, haunting riff of a guitar. The lights illuminated the arena, revealing the silhouette of none other than the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. The roar of the crowd was deafening. The man who had been one of Triple H's closest allies and bitterest rivals over the years was back. But this wasn't just a return for nostalgia's sake. No, this was far more personal. Michaels made his way to the ring, his eyes locked onto Triple H, who stood in the ring with a smirk that was both familiar and sinister. Michaels grabbed a mic, his voice steady but carrying the weight of years of history. "You and I, Hunter, we've been through hell together. But this is different. You wanted a feud? You got it." The fans buzzed with excitement. The idea of Triple H and Shawn Michaels, the two men who had been part of the infamous DX and had fought on opposite sides in the Monday Night Wars, facing off one last time had been a dream scenario for WWE fans. But what could have sparked this feud? Why now, after all these years? After weeks of cryptic backstage vignettes and press conferences, Triple H finally revealed the details. He had been stewing in the shadows of WWE, watching the rise of new talent, feeling the weight of his legacy. But there was something gnawing at him, the realization that his time was running out. For years, Triple H had been involved in shaping the careers of others. He had seen every generation of stars come and go, from Stone Cold Steve Austin to Roman Reigns, but there was one man who had always stood in the background. One man who, in Triple H's eyes, had never fully earned his place. "Shawn, you were my friend, my mentor, my brother," Triple H said. "But you've always had a tendency to play the martyr, the hero. You've walked away at the top of your career, leaving others to pick up the pieces. And I'm tired of it. You think you know me, Hunter? You don't. I've always been one step ahead of you. Every time you thought you had me figured out, I was already playing the game better than you. You've spent your career trying to make others follow your footsteps, but you've never understood what makes me, me. Now, let's settle it." Triple H had been trying to make a statement in the ring for years, and it seemed that Michaels had been his unspoken rival, the thorn in his side that he could never truly defeat. Their legacy was intertwined: DX, the formation of NXT, and countless battles on both sides of the spectrum. But now, it was about to get personal. The Royal Rumble match had set the stage for the ultimate clash of WWE icons. Fans had witnessed countless moments of drama, but now they were about to experience something that would live forever in WWE history. The final confrontation between Triple H and Shawn Michaels wasn't just about a title or accolades, it was about two men coming to terms with their place in history. Shawn Michaels entered the ring, locking eyes with Triple H. The crowd roared, not sure whether to cheer for the nostalgic icon or the cerebral assassin. The tension between the two was palpable, and the history between them was undeniable. They had fought for years, but this time, it wasn't about showing the world who was better, it was about proving who had the legacy that mattered most. For weeks, the build-up had been unlike any other. Triple H had made every effort to manipulate the narrative. He had claimed that he was going to destroy the very thing Michaels represented: hope, resilience, and the idea of defying the odds. But Shawn Michaels wasn't going to let his legacy be tarnished. The Royal Rumble match itself had only been the opening salvo, a moment where Michaels could show the world that even in the twilight of his career, he was still the best. Triple H may have been the one pulling the strings, but Michaels was the one who would have the last word. The Royal Rumble came to a close, but the most significant moment was yet to come. As Michaels stood tall in the ring, Triple H locked eyes with him, a knowing look passing between them. And as the final bell rang, signaling the end of one chapter and the start of another, it was clear that the stage was set for one final, epic showdown between these two WWE Hall of Famers, one last feud that would go down in history. This wasn't just about who would win, it was about leaving behind a legacy that would be remembered forever. And when that final bell rang, both men would know, only one would emerge victorious, and only one would be the last man standing in the ring to truly define their place in WWE history. Ex-WWE champion makes massive claim about Triple H. Triple H has been at the forefront of the post-Vince McMahon era in WWE. A wrestling veteran, Stevie Richards, recently made a massive claim about the game's personality. After McMahon left the Stanford-based company last year amid being sued by former employee Janelle Grant for alleged sex trafficking and sexual assault, Triple H took full control of creative. At WrestleMania 40, Stephanie McMahon ushered in the Paul Levesque era. Over the next several months, the 14-time world champion appeared on camera several times to kick off shows or get involved in storylines. Last Monday, the 55-year-old opened Raw's debut episode on Netflix. While reviewing Raw on his The Stevie Richards Show, the former WWE Hardcore Champion commented on the opening video for which Triple H did the voiceover. He pointed out that it contained old-school Vince McMahon verbiage. The 53-year-old veteran then claimed that the game is turning into Vince. Whoever wrote that is awesome. But there's some very old-school Vince McMahon verbiage there. Like, it's just weird unless it's just instilled with the company. But that sounds like something Vince would voice over. Very weird. I mean, Triple H is essentially turning into Vince, he said. From 154 to 214. Wrestling veteran thinks TKO should fire Triple H from WWE. During a recent appearance on the Keepin' It 100 podcast, wrestling veteran Ben Heyman addressed Triple H's future in the Stanford-based company. He claimed TKO should let him go. Heyman added that the game is an open liability for the current owners due to his connection to former WWE chairman Vince McMahon. You asked me why I thought I'd get rid of him. I'm looking at it from a board of directors' point of view of anybody with 1 degree of separation from McMahon we don't need here anymore because that is an open liability that could come back and shock us, he said. On the same podcast, wrestling veteran Konnan disagreed with Ben Heyman, pointing out that Triple H should not be held responsible for his father-in-law's actions. The WWE Universe has been buzzing for days after a massive claim from a former WWE champion sent shockwaves through the locker room and social media. In a recent interview, former World Heavyweight Champion and fan favorite Drew McIntyre made an explosive statement regarding Triple H, WWE's chief content officer. McIntyre's words have stirred speculation, ignited rumors, and raised eyebrows about Triple H's role in the company's creative direction, especially considering McIntyre's own struggles with his career in recent years. In the exclusive interview with Wrestling Insider Weekly, McIntyre opened up about his time in WWE and the relationship he has with Triple H, whose influence has been felt across the company. McIntyre, known for his powerful in-ring performances and rugged persona, has long been a fan favorite, having reached the pinnacle of WWE by winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 36 in front of an empty arena. Since that monumental victory, McIntyre has struggled to reclaim the same position, often feeling sidelined as new stars like Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins rose to the top. However, it wasn't McIntyre's own career struggles that made his comments so eye-catching, it was the massive claim he made about Triple H himself. The Scottish Warrior, whose career has been intertwined with Triple H's for over a decade, revealed that the King of Kings was secretly handcuffed in his role as WWE's head of creative. McIntyre's assertion has caused a stir across the wrestling world, with fans and industry insiders alike questioning what this could mean for WWE's future and the potential shifts in leadership behind the scenes. In the interview, McIntyre shared a perspective that shocked many. Triple H is the most passionate person I know about wrestling. He has a vision, a dream for the company, and for the industry. But what people don't see is how limited he is in executing that vision. The man is constantly held back, McIntyre claimed. The stories he wants to tell, the angles he wants to push, he's not always allowed to make those calls. He's constantly at the mercy of Vince McMahon's overarching presence. This was a bold accusation, especially given McMahon's well-known history of control over WWE's creative direction. The company's founder and longtime CEO, Vince McMahon, had always been the final say in matters of storytelling and creative decisions. However, after McMahon's retirement in 2022 following multiple scandals, many assumed that Triple H, who had been running NXT and working behind the scenes for years, would be able to take full control of WWE's creative direction. McIntyre's claim casts doubt on that assumption, suggesting that while Triple H may be the face of WWE's current creative regime, there are still invisible forces keeping him from fully executing his ideas. It's frustrating for him, and it's frustrating for us, McIntyre added. He's a genius when it comes to this business, but there are bigger forces at play, and they don't always want to listen to him. The timing of McIntyre's comments couldn't have been more crucial. The WWE Universe has seen a seismic shift in recent years with the departure of Vince McMahon, the rise of new stars like Roman Reigns, and the ongoing power struggles behind the scenes. In particular, Triple H's vision for a more inclusive, varied product had begun to take shape with the debut of more international talent and fresh storylines. The way Triple H redefined NXT in its heyday and brought in new, exciting talents was widely praised, and many expected this to continue on the main roster. However, McIntyre's words shine a light on a potential issue. Has WWE really shifted creatively, or has it simply adapted the same old formula under different management? McIntyre seems to be suggesting that while Triple H is trying to create something new, the company's inner workings are holding him back from fully achieving that. For instance, McIntyre referenced the creative decisions surrounding his own character. Despite being one of the most decorated and popular stars in WWE over the past few years, McIntyre's role in storylines had been inconsistent, and he felt that some of the ideas he pushed for were turned down. He hinted at plans that were in the works for him to be in a marquee match at WrestleMania but were ultimately dropped or altered due to other backstage influences. Sometimes we just want to make things happen, and they're shut down before they even get a chance to breathe, McIntyre said. I can't speak for everyone, but for me, it's always been about telling the best stories, not just what's easiest or what sells the most shirts. Triple H is one of the few people who gets that, but even he's up against roadblocks every time he tries something new. Triple H's limitations, according to McIntyre, seem to stem from the lingering influence of Vince McMahon, who despite stepping down from the creative helm, still holds a significant stake in the company. Vince's grip on WWE has been legendary, with many wondering whether he ever truly relinquished control after his retirement. McIntyre spoke candidly about McMahon's shadow hanging over the company. There's no getting around it, McIntyre explained. Vince McMahon is WWE. He's built this empire, and while Triple H has done incredible things to evolve the product, I think it's hard for anyone to fully escape Vince's influence, even in his absence. That's something we all need to be honest about. Despite the acknowledgement of Vince McMahon's influence, McIntyre emphasized his respect for Triple H's leadership and vision. Hunter's trying to give us a more modern WWE. He's trying to push boundaries, but sometimes it feels like he's stuck in the past. It's not his fault, but it is what it is. McIntyre's comments have sparked an outpouring of reactions from fans and wrestling insiders. Some have supported McIntyre's claims, praising him for speaking out and shedding light on the challenges Triple H faces. I knew there was something more going on behind the scenes, one fan tweeted. Triple H is such a visionary, but it makes sense now why things feel so off sometimes. Others have questioned McIntyre's intentions, wondering if his comments were meant to stir controversy or signal frustration over his own position within the company. Is this sour grapes for McIntyre? Or is he genuinely trying to protect Hunter? One Reddit user asked in a post. The fallout from McIntyre's comments is sure to have long-lasting effects on WWE's internal structure and fan perception. While some might view McIntyre as a disgruntled employee, many see his claim as a necessary look behind the curtain at the complexities of WWE's creative process. As for Triple H, his position is stronger than ever in terms of fan support. However, McIntyre's comments may highlight an important issue: whether Triple H's grand vision can be fully realized, or if he will continue to be bound by the limitations of his predecessor's influence. The next few months in WWE will likely reveal whether McIntyre's claim holds water. Will Triple H break free from the past and take WWE to new heights? Or will he continue to face obstacles as the company navigates its post-Vince McMahon era? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain: the WWE landscape is changing, and McIntyre's explosive revelation has only added fuel to the fire.